From the heart of Worcester, Massachusetts, Jamaine the technician Ortiz stepped into the ring with poise and confidence. On the opposite side, the charismatic and explosive Teofimo the Takeover Lopez, known for his power and flair, stood ready to defend his WBO and Ring Magazine Junior Welterweight world titles. The atmosphere was electric. Fans braced for a battle not just of fists, but of strategy, timing, and mental toughness. The referee, who had overseen 2 previous Lopez bouts but was officiating Ortiz for the first time, issued the final instructions. Protect yourselves at all times, touch him up, good luck. The stage was set. As the bell rang, Ortiz emerged from his corner in a southpaw stance, a smart strategic move. Though naturally right-handed, Ortiz is known to be a more effective counterpuncher as a southpaw. His lateral movement was sharp, from the start, keeping Lopez guessing. Lopez, with his father shouting encouragement ringside, tried to set the tone early, but it was clear that Ortiz had done his homework. Every time Lopez lunged in with his signature right hand, Ortiz looked to capitalize. His sharp jab doubled up, keeping Lopez at bay. Ortiz's footwork was fluid, dancing laterally and forcing Lopez to constantly reset. Though Lopez had the faster hands, Ortiz's counterpunching was precise. Observers noted early flaws in Lopez's technique. He was dropping his opposite hand when committing to shots, opening the door for counter rights. The second round opened with Lopez trying to cut off the ring. He pushed forward, looking to pin Ortiz against the ropes and unleash combinations. But Ortiz stayed slick, stepping out and circling before Lopez could corner him. Lopez managed to sneak in a leaping right hand, a reminder of his power, but Ortiz took it well and responded with a well-timed left to the body. The battle had quickly evolved into a chess match, with both men trying to outthink and outmaneuver each other. Ortiz's head movement and control of distance were impressive, frustrating Lopez's attempts to engage. As the round closed, Lopez had moments of success, but Ortiz remained composed, staying just outside the danger zone and landing counters when opportunities appeared. Lopez changed his approach. Rather than pressing non-stop, he began inviting Ortiz in, looking to bait the technician into overcommitting. It was a clever adjustment, but Ortiz wasn't easily fooled. He jabbed his way in, landed, and slipped out, refusing to get drawn into unnecessary exchanges. Still, Lopez had his moments. A sneaky right uppercut caught Ortiz clean and the crowd roared, but Ortiz fired back, digging to the body and answering with a short right upstairs. This was high-level boxing, a game of angles, feints, and rhythm. By now, Ortiz had shown he could not only avoid Lopez's power, but also control the tempo. Still, one couldn't help but wonder how long he could keep up this energy-intensive game plan. Lopez began using more psychological tactics. He backed into a neutral corner and waved Ortiz in. "Come on," he taunted. Ortiz obliged, stepping forward and digging a right hand to the body, followed by a short hook to the head. Lopez smirked, but the message was clear. Ortiz wasn't intimidated. Meanwhile, the power punch stats showed a slight edge for Ortiz, but Lopez was starting to look more comfortable. The rhythm of the fight was beginning to tilt toward him, but Ortiz remained composed and determined. As the midpoint approached, Ortiz continued to execute his strategy beautifully. He used his southpaw stance to keep Lopez off balance, and Lopez struggled to mount sustained offense when forced to come forward. This wasn't the kind of firefight many expected, but it was a masterclass in ring generalship. Ortiz darted in and out, landing single clean shots and then disappearing before Lopez could retaliate. In Lopez's corner, there was a sense of frustration. His father barked instructions trying to reignite the fire in his son. But Ortiz remained, a puzzle Lopez hadn't yet solved. Ortiz's movement continued to frustrate Lopez, who found it difficult to plant his feet and let his hands go. Ortiz countered with sharp left hands and jabs from the southpaw stance, staying just far enough out of range after every exchange. The power numbers remained low, but Ortiz was landing the more meaningful shots, especially with that sneaky left. Straight. Lopez taunted again, trying to goad Ortiz into a mistake, but the technician stayed disciplined. The clash of styles was stark, Lopez, a natural showman who thrived on chaos and emotion. Ortiz, a craftsman who prized discipline and calculation. Commentators began drawing comparisons between Ortiz's approach and Floyd Mayweather's, frustrating opponents, making them miss, and then capitalizing with quick counters. Though the crowd wanted more action, the brilliance of Ortiz's boxing was undeniable. Lopez was missing often, swinging at air, and Ortiz's corner, led by the veteran cutman Mike Basil, remained composed. A clash of heads left Ortiz with a cut, and blood trickled from his mouth too, likely from a sneaky uppercut, but he didn't let it show. Instead, he kept moving, circling, and dictating where the exchanges took place. For the first time, Ortiz's movement began to look slightly labored. Lopez sensed it. He upped the pressure, finally cutting off the ring and landing some meaningful shots, though nothing devastating just yet. Ortiz still slipped and rolled with punches well, but his offensive output was beginning to drop. Lopez landed a sharp left hook, then a right uppercut, drawing cheers from the crowd. This was a critical juncture. Would Ortiz fade under the pressure, or was he conserving energy for a late rally? Despite Lopez gaining momentum, this was still the type of fight Ortiz wanted, a tactical, low-output battle of inches. Ortiz wasn't allowing Lopez to open up and was forcing him to come forward, something Lopez had struggled with in the past, most notably against Sandor Martin in Georgia. Cambosos still. The judges could favor Lopez's forward movement and aggression if Ortiz didn't start landing more consistently. Though Lopez had won the athletic battle, Ortiz had largely won the strategic one. But the clock was ticking. Ortiz admitted before the fight that his stance choice would be spontaneous, and it had worked well. But now, the danger was whether he had done enough to convince the judges he was controlling the fight. Lopez, to his credit, had not let frustration derail him entirely. A short uppercut on the inside reminded Ortiz of his danger. And yet Ortiz kept the game going, circling, feinting, and choosing his moments wisely. The crowd was growing impatient, craving a big moment. But the fighters remained locked in a cerebral war, each trying to outwit the other. Lopez's father urged him forward. Now is the time. And Lopez responded with urgency. He landed a clean right hand down the middle, one of his best punches of the night. Ortiz felt it, but responded by tying him up and moving away. There was blood now. Ortiz from the mouth, Lopez from a previous clash of heads. The battle had taken its toll. And yet, both men were still standing, still thinking, still fighting. Lopez was hunting the knockout. Ortiz was trying to survive the storm and maybe steal the final round to secure an upset. This was it, the final chapter in a tense tactical war. The crowd roared as both fighters met in the center of the ring, Lopez stalking, Ortiz circling. Every feint, every jab carried weight. Lopez fired a sharp right. Ortiz countered with a hook. They traded. Ortiz finally stood his ground and let his hands go, perhaps sensing he needed to make a final impression on the judges. The closing seconds were electric. Both men raised their hands as the bell rang, one believing he had retained his crown, the other hoping to have pulled off a major upset. The scores were read, and still, the WBO and Ring Magazine Junior welterweight champion of the world, Teofimo Lopez. But Ortiz had left a lasting impression. He came in as a massive underdog and executed a game plan that gave one of boxing's most dynamic stars all he could handle. For Lopez, it was another hard-earned victory. For Ortiz, it was proof he belonged on the elite stage.